guys, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. This is Snarled, the channel, and this is Dark 5, the show, and I'm Rachel, the human. I do spooky stuff every single week, and if you dig that, then you should subscribe, okay? Okay, duh. These are the top 5 cannibals. That lacks some luster, doesn't it? These are the top 5 people eaters. Cannibalism is people eating people. Certain tribes in Papua New Guinea, Fiji, the Congo, Cambodia, and like 10 other places I don't feel like listing right now, still utilize religious ritual cannibalism to help celebrate the dead. Just like in my favorite book, Stranger in a Strange Land, when a person dies, you help celebrate that person by ingesting their flesh or grokking them. Is that kind of sweet? Yes. Are the stories I'm about to tell you also kind of sweet? No, they are not. And before we start, by the way, I'm not gonna be talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. Despite me wearing my Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, I'm just paying a little homage to him. I did an entire episode about Jeffrey Dahmer. If you wanna know more about him, check out that episode. I looked really sweaty in it. I was just really sick. I'm sorry, I feel like I have to say that. Number 5, Armin Meiwes. Okay, so I've talked about Armin Meiwes in the past, but any person that forces the words consensual cannibalism out of my mouth deserves a second mention. You may remember Armin from the Deep Web episode where I describe his post on the popular human flesh market Cannibal Cafe. Armin was seeking a well-built person between the ages of 18 and 30 to be killed and consumed. Consensually, of course. What is he, some kind of monster? Meiwes said that around 200 people replied to this ad, but old Burn Brand was lucky enough to get a response from Mr. Popular Armin. So on March 9th, 2001, the two men got together and boned. Then Armin made bone broth from Burn's bones. Do you get it? He ate him. Later in their date, Meiwes cut Burn's penis off and they ate it together. They initially tried to consume the penis raw, but it was too rubbery. That is not something that you needed to know. I just thought it was a funny fact. Meiwes then decided to fry the penis with garlic and butter, but he burned it. I'm an idiot. Boys are so dumb. After waiting 10 hours for Burn to bleed out and die, Meiwes got impatient and decided to murder him himself. He hung the body on a meat hook and started to carve pieces of flesh from the body. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, they don't have that in Germany. Meiwes ate 18 kilos of Brand's meat over the course of 10 months. I don't know how much 18 kilos is. Hold on. Hey Siri, how many pounds is 18 kilos?
That would be 39.68 pounds.
40 pounds. That is 40 pounds of meat. That is a lot of burgers. According to Meiwes, human flesh tasted like pork, but with a strong bitter aftertaste. On trial, Meiwes insisted that Brand's death was not a murder, but rather an assisted suicide. He's now spending his life in prison as a vegetarian. Great, so he's a murderer and he's obnoxious. Just kidding, if you don't eat meat, like I support you, but I don't got it. Number 4, issei Segawa. I hate this guy. I truly hate this man. Backstory, Segawa was a Japanese student completing an English literature degree in Paris. Sharp right turn, he met and shot a co-ed on June 11th, 1981. After her death, he proceeded to cannibalize her over the next 2 days. Segawa was eventually arrested by the French authorities, but was deemed unfit for trial due to insanity and was deported back to Japan. In one of the best examples of stupidity by police force, there was a clerical error and he was released. He did not go to prison, he was released. He is a free man to this day. And not only was he free in Japan, he became a celebrity. Japanese authorities arrested a child killer and enlisted the help of Segawa as some sort of Hannibal Lecter type of deal to help him get in the mind of a killer. Here's what I hate about this comparison. Hannibal Lecter was an analyst. He was a doctor. He could help authorities. This guy is a cannibal who ate somebody while in college. This weird move by the Japanese police kept Segawa in the public eye and made him an international celebrity. In the years that followed, Segawa was employed as a public speaker. He wrote over 20 books that described his crimes and his fantasies, and he even freelanced as a food critic. That's not funny. It's a little funny. Here is an actual quote from the living psychopath who ate a woman. I would like to invite any woman who wants to kill me to step forward. Beautiful women only. That would be the ideal way for me to die. An alternative would be to drown in female saliva. I'm a cowardly man who killed another person, yet I can't face killing myself. So I guess dying at the hands of a woman would be my way to redemption. You're dumb! Nobody kill him. Make sure he lives a long life. And make sure there are a bunch of very loud, opinionated women surrounding him so he understands just what a small piece of speck he is. You don't deserve anything. Vice, stop covering the man. What? I'm covering him.
You're doing it.
Oh, shit. Number 3, the Mauerova family. This is some House of 1,000 Corpses shit, and it is so messed up. This might be, I know it's number 3, but this in my heart might be the most messed up one, actually. It might be number 1. Actually, they're all kind of number 1s. In the Czech Republic in 2007, 2 brothers, 8-year-old Andrei and 10-year-old Jacob, were found naked, gagged, and chained in their basement. Their captors were a 34-year-old woman named Barbara pretending to be a 13-year-old girl, their own damn aunt, and their own damn mother. That's one bad mama drama. What these women did to these boys is beyond horrifying. They were gagged, beaten, and had countless cigarette burns all over their bodies, and the youngest, Andrei, had his skin flayed off. That's bad. That's really mean and bad. Okay. The boy continued to get skinned over the course of months. His mother, his aunt, and that weird 34-year-old teenager ate it. They ate it. The boys were finally discovered when the neighbor's baby monitor picked up the feed from their basement where they found these 2 boys tied up and bleeding. Upon arrest, the mom only got 9 years, the aunt got 10 years, and Barbara, that weird fake teenager, only got 5. This happened in 2007. It is 2017. What I'm saying is that they're all free. They're all free. Number 2, Andrei Chikatilo. Woo, doggy, this one is a heavy hitter. Andrei Chikatilo was born October 16th, 1936 in a small Ukrainian village in the USSR. The USSR was wrought with famine that only got worse with the coming of World War II. Chikatilo was born with hydrocephalus, or water in the brain, which led to chronic urinary tract infections, as well as bedwetting way into his late adolescence and the inability to sustain an erection. On top of all of this, his father was a prisoner of war against the Germans, and Chikatilo was bullied endlessly at school because of it. Instead of sympathy, they called his father a coward for getting caught, because that makes a lot of sense. Wow, is there a lot to unpack here. Number 1, bedwetting into adolescence is like part of the holy trinity of serial killers. That on top of having an unhealthy relationship with your mother and early age head trauma. Number 2, boners are like so important to young men. Doctors suggest at least 3 boners a day. Number 3, an unhealthy relationship with masculinity and control because of his father's perceived cowardice. Number 4, he was literally born hungry. His relationship with food was that of primal survival right at birth. I smell a serial killer. Well, good news, Rachel, because guess what? He is one. Okay, so murder time. Chikatilo was partial to runaways but didn't really care about the gender. He befriended them at train stations and bus stops before luring them into the forest, attempting to rape them, and then using a knife to mutilate their bodies. He made a habit of eating the sexual organs of his victims as well as the tips of their noses and the tips of their tongues. He booped them. Boop, but with a knife. Not cute, don't do it. In his earlier cases, a pattern of his was to inflict damage to the eyeballs. He would slash at them or remove them completely because Chikatilo believed that even after death, there would be an imprint of his face in their eyeballs. He continued to murder for years, evading arrest until 1992 when he was convicted of 52 counts of murder. He was literally placed into a steel cage during the trial for the protection of everybody there. The whole thing turned into a circus, but eventually culminated in Chikatilo's execution. A single shot to the back of his head. That's Russia, baby! Number 1, Albert Fish. Albert Fish was a bad man, but he was a fantastic movie monster. Think of the scariest thing imaginable. Now cram all of that horror into a stinky old man. Well, welcome to the demon being that is Albert Fish. First things first, let's get this out of the way. Albert Fish was a pretty good dad. He had kids, and his kids knew that he was a sexual sadist and an all-around pretty creepy dude, but they never once complained about him being physical with them. During the trial, they actually regarded him as a pretty good father. So, good. But actually think about this. Think about the type of person it takes to be even an okay father in the kitchen and then go upstairs to the bedroom and insert nails into the tip of your penis for fun. I am never here to kink shame, but I think we can all agree that in the case of Albert Fish, his motivations were nefarious. Albert Fish had one good suit and old blue eyes, and in 1928, that was enough to get by. He placed an ad in the paper looking for a worker or a small boy to kill. That was the subtext. He didn't write that. He finally found a suitable 18-year-old boy, but when he went to the boy's house to meet the family, he took a liking to Grace, the 10-year-old sister. He somehow convinced the girl's mother to allow him to take her to a birthday party. Albert Fish then proceeded to strangle the 10-year-old girl, behead her, and eat her body over a 9-day period. I could end the video here because that would be traumatic enough, but unfortunately, Albert Fish is a monster of a human, and the trauma, it never ends. Fish decided to write a long letter to Grace's mother detailing exactly how he murdered her. I'm only going to use one quote from this letter because I cannot physically make my mouth say the other words. It is so bad, but if you want to read it, it's online. Hey, do you? Albert Fish wrote, "On the pretense of taking her to a party, you said yes, she could go. I took her to an empty house in Westchester I had already picked out. When we got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wildflowers. I went upstairs and stripped all of my clothes off. I knew if I did not, I would get her blood on them." We haven't even gotten to the part where he confronts her about the murder yet, and it's already the worst thing I've ever read. By the way, it should be noted that he didn't get naked to try and do any funny sexual business with her. He literally just didn't want to get blood on his one suit. He then goes on to tell the mother exactly how he killed her and exactly how she tasted. It's because of his hubris in this letter that Albert Fish was finally arrested. He was executed via electric chair in 1936. You know, I wonder if all the pins in his penis acted as a conductor and it just fried his dick off first and then the rest of him went. Oh yeah, did I mention he shoved pins into the tip of his penis? Oh, I did? Okay, fun. Great. I know I missed a ton of people, but unfortunately this is a field heavily saturated, so bye. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, turn on those notifications. Just press that little bell, and anytime any of the Snarly girls upload a video, you'll be notified. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe? Why don't you? Hey, we work hard, so hard for you.